Character. There are two meanings for the word character. The person in a work of fiction, the characteristics of a person. Characteristics are convincing if they are consistent, motivated, and lifelike. Characters are individual, round, many-sided, and complex personalities. Developing, dynamic, many-sided personalities that change for the better or worse by the end of the story. Static, stereotypes. They have one or two characteristics that never change and are often overemphasized. Theme. What exactly is this elusive thing called theme? The theme of a fable is its moral. The theme of a parable is its teaching. The theme of a piece of fiction is its view about life and how people behave. In fiction, the theme is not intended to teach or preach. In fact, it is not presented directly at all. You extract it from the characters, action, and setting that make up the story. In other words, you must figure out the theme yourself. The writer's task is to communicate on a common ground with the reader, although the particulars of your experience may be different from the details of the story. The general underlying truth behind the story may be just the connection that both you and the writer are seeking. Plot. A plot is a casual sequence of events, the why for the things that happened in the story. The plot draws the reader into the characters' lives and helps the reader understand the choices that the characters make. A plot structure is always in which the story elements are arranged. Writers vary structure depending on the needs of the story. For example, in a mystery, the author will withhold plot exposition until later in the story. What goes into a plot? Narrative tradition calls for developing stories with particular pieces, plot elements, in place. Exposition is the information needed to understand the story. Complication is the catalyst that begins the major conflict. Climax is the turning point in the story that occurs when characters try to resolve the complication. Resolution is the set of events that bring the story to a close. It's not always a straight line from the beginning to the end of the story. Sometimes, there is shifting of time, and this is the way we learn what happened and why. It keeps us interested in the story, but good stories always have all the plot elements in them. Point of view. Remember, someone is always between the reader and the action of the story. That someone is telling the story from his or her own point of view. This angle of vision, the point of view from which the people, events, and the details of a story are viewed, is important to consider when reading a story. Types of point of view. Objective point of view. With the objective point of view, the writer tells what happened without stating more than can be inferred from the story's action and dialogue. The narrator never discloses anything about what the characters think or feel, remaining a detached observer. Third-person point of view. Here, the narrator does not participate in the action of the story as one of the character, but lets us know exactly how the characters feel. We learn about the characters through this outside voice. First-person point of view. In this first-person point of view, the narrator does not participate in the action of the story. When reading the story in the first person, we need to realize that what the narrator is recounting might not be the objective truth. We should question the trustworthiness of the action. Omniscient and limited omniscient point of view. A narrator who knows everything about all the characters is all-knowing or omniscient. A narrator whose knowledge is limited to one character, either major or minor, has a limited omniscient point of view. Setting. Setting is created by language. How many or how few details we learn is up to the author. Many authors leave a lot of these details up to the reader's imagination. Some or all these aspects of setting should be considered when examining a story. Place. Geographical location. Where is the action of the story taking place? Time. When is the story taking place? Weather conditions. Is it rainy, sunny, stormy? Social conditions. What is the daily life of the characters like? Does the story contain local color, mood, or atmosphere? What feelings is created at the beginning of the story? Is it bright and cheerful or dark and frightening?
Characters. Caridad, a biological daughter of Emma, who will unfold a mystery in her life. Thelma, the sister of Emma. Emma, a biological mother of Caridad. Ligaya, the sister of Caridad, daughter of Emma. Raul, husband of Thelma. Jaime, husband of Caridad. Alfonso, husband of Emma. Marla, daughter of Caridad. Enrique, husband of Ligaya. Theme: peace with the past, courage in revealing the secret, acceptance, and moving forward. Point of view: in this story, the point of view is the first person. Setting: the story happened in the Philippines, specifically in Olongapo, Zambales. Conflict: man versus himself. The conflict is within Caridad herself, her choice to forgive or not. The Last Time I Saw Mother by Arlene J. Chai. In The Last Time I Saw Mother, protagonist Caridad finds herself on a journey of self-discovery when her mother, Thelma, in a 2-sentence letter, suddenly summons her home. A resident of Sydney, Australia for the past 10 years. Caridad is both apprehensive and eager to return to her native Manila. She suspects that the trip will mark a significant transition in her life, because her last trip to Manila 3 years prior was to bury her father. She fears that Thelma's request concerns the older woman's health. Therefore, when Thelma offers no particular reason why she wants Caridad to come to Manila, she immediately leaves for the Philippines. Caridad's departure from Sydney is not without a heartache. Recently separated from her husband Jaime, she wonders how she will explain all her domestic troubles to her family. Moreover, Caridad does not relish leaving her 18-year-old daughter Marla, who albeit independent and mature, who has been affected by her parents' separation. Her home is unstable makes Caridad even more sensitive to familial connections. Going to Manila brings both relief and stress. Caridad's emotional vulnerabilities, however, make her receptive to the discoveries she will make while away from Sydney. Upon arriving at the mother's home, Caridad is escorted upstairs to her old room. She spies a different group of maids from the house she remembered on her last trip home. Knowing how exacting her mother is, Caridad understands that her mother probably intimidated her former employees. This possibility reminds Caridad once again of the personality that she is about to encounter. After taking a few minutes to collect herself, Caridad ventures into her mother's dark quarters, calling out to Thelma by calling her Mama. Caridad is stunned when Thelma replies by stating,
"No, Caridad, I'm not your mama." Thelma begins to unravel a mystery that has plagued the family ever since Caridad's birth, though she has kept the secret for so many years. In the past 3 years since her husband Raul's death, Thelma has felt an urgent need to expose the truth. For over 40 years, only Thelma, her younger sister Emma, Emma's oldest daughter Ligaya, and Raul have known the truth about Caridad's past, appreciating the fact that she will die one day. Thelma thinks it best if Caridad learn the truth from the only mother she has known. In anticipating what will be a difficult discussion, Thelma recaps for herself moments from the past when she should have divulged the truth to her daughter. Caridad at 17 when she begins to test her parents' authority. Caridad and Jaime announcing that they would migrate to Sydney. The young couple advancing through the stages of home ownership. And finally, Raul's death. Now, along with Emma and Ligaya, Thelma will reveal to Caridad details not only about her immediate past, but also about the more comprehensive ancestral past. Understanding that the story of the past is mainly Emma's story. She will allow her sister to talk to Caridad first, but before the three women share their stories with her, Caridad recalls various moments from her childhood when she questioned her identity. Once, at age 4, when she and her friends were playing outside and her Aunt Emma came to visit, one of her playmates exclaimed, "It's your mama, Caridad." After examining how much Caridad looked like Emma, then at Caridad's 5th birthday party, someone in the crowd observed how much Caridad resembled Ligaya, much to Thelma's consternation and to Emma's embarrassment. Sometime thereafter, when Caridad was visiting Emma's house for Ligaya's engagement party, she happened upon a picture of Emma's deceased husband. When Caridad asked Ligaya if the man in the photograph was Ligaya's father, all Ligaya would say was, "That is Papa," refusing to say, "Yes, that is our Papa." Then after Marla was born and Emma and daughter Mia paid Caridad a visit in the hospital, Emma insisted on giving to Caridad her only cherished piece of jewelry, a heart-shaped pendant. Caridad could not believe that her aunt would not give that to one of her daughters, Ligaya, Mia, Celia, or Laura. Still, she accepted the kind offer and did not ask questions. Now, years later, she braces herself to hear Emma's
Arriving
story.
at Emma's home for Sunday dinner, Caridad will finally hear the truth about her background. Emma begins her story by telling of her husband Alfonso's premature death at age 39. Alfonso left Emma with 6 children: Ligaya, Celia, Laura, Mia, Paula, and Miguel, and another on the way. This 7th child would be Caridad. Emma goes on to explain that while she and Alfonso enjoyed a married and family life full of love and support, they also reviewed much economic heartache as a result of political and social upheaval which consumed their Filipino lives during World War II. Born without the benefit of the kind of family wealth that Raul enjoyed, Alfonso was forced to work very hard to sustain his family. During the heat of World War II, Alfonso, Emma, and the children were forced to flee their Manila home and live like nomads while trying to seek out a living. At the end of the war, realizing that life in Manila would never be the same, they moved to Olongapo, where Alfonso and a partner worked to open up an ice plant. Before this venture came to fruition, however, Alfonso died. After Caridad was born 3 weeks later, Emma was faced with a painful decision because she could not feed the children she already had. She felt even more burdened with the prospect of trying to feed Caridad too. Childless Thelma offered Emma an alternative. If Emma would relinquish Caridad to her sister, then Thelma would provide Emma's family with all of their necessities. Though initially reluctant, Emma ultimately relented. Caridad was given over to Thelma and Raul. Soon thereafter, Emma and her family returned to Manila to be closer to Thelma. Emma handed over Caridad only after she suffered a nightmare that portended Caridad's death, interpreting the dream to mean that if she kept Caridad, then the child would die. A physically and emotionally drained Emma made the only choice she believed she could. After hearing Emma's story, Caridad is then confronted with Ligaya's tale. Harboring a grudge against Thelma for all of these years, Ligaya, in an effort not to hurt Caridad, strives very hard to suppress her biases and recount an objective story. From Ligaya, Caridad learns that Alfonso was especially proud of his firstborn. He and Ligaya were practically inseparable during her childhood. Upon her 5th birthday, Alfonso bought her a piano and encouraged her musical interest. The piano quickly became Ligaya's pride and joy. Even after moving to Olongapo, Ligaya continued to play and take lessons. When Alfonso died, however, the then 15-year-old Ligaya had to end her lesson because the family could no longer afford such a luxury. The shock of her father's death was compounded by the fact that when Alfonso died, Ligaya was away on a trip to Manila that her father had instructed her not to take. As a consequence, she was burdened with intense guilt. Soon after his death, Emma sold the piano without alerting Ligaya, and then she gave Caridad to Thelma. Ligaya was overwhelmed by all of these abrupt changes. Everything in her life that once gave her pleasure had been taken from her. That her aunt Thelma would make a bargain with Emma over her sister Caridad, and that Emma would accept it completely unnerved Ligaya.
Though she was angry at both Thelma and Emma, she always blamed herself for the chain of events that resulted in the disruption of the family unit. Ligaya shouldered much guilt about her absence at the time of her father's death. As well, she blamed herself for not being courageous enough to stand up to Thelma. Right after Thelma took Caridad away, Ligaya made the journey to Manila to bring Caridad back to Olongapo. Confronting her auntie fearlessly, Ligaya almost succeeded in living with Caridad until Thelma reminded Ligaya that the family would starve without Thelma's help. She would immediately curtail if Caridad was removed. Succumbing in that moment, Ligaya left Caridad with Thelma, and soon Emma, Ligaya, and the others moved back to Manila. For years, seething with anger and resentment, Ligaya had been transformed into the kind of hardened woman she accused Thelma of being. During the 7 years following Alfonso's death, Ligaya considered her life torturous and ascetic. At 22, she was pursued by the wealthy and US-educated Enrique, who quickly won over Emma and the others. While Enrique had much to offer Ligaya, including his unequivocal love, Ligaya did not love him. Still, out of obligation to her family's well-being, she agreed to marry him. Living in the lap of luxury with 4 cars, a mini mansion, jewelry, and servants, Ligaya had improved her station in life considerably. Still, she did not feel grateful until she shared with Caridad the snippets from her own life that would help to make Caridad whole as well. Finally, Caridad hears Thelma's full story. Never before had Thelma ever discussed her life prior to Caridad's birth. Anytime Caridad tried to ask her about the past, Thelma always skirted the issue. Now, however, Thelma understands that Caridad must know everything about Thelma and Raul's life. Thelma was older than most when she and Raul married. Fearing that she might not marry and feeling a sense of urgency, Thelma's parents solicited the help of her godmother Lorena to find a suitable mate. Lorena soon found the handsome and successful Raul, a wealthy heir to the largest construction business in Manila. Though leery of her future mother-in-law, Thelma found Raul most appealing and he was taken with her. After the marriage, he initially treated her with great respect while also spending all of his free time with her dancing and dining in some of Manila's most exclusive venues. Months and then years passed without Thelma's conceiving a child, much to the in-laws' disappointment. In these ensuing years, Raul spent more time away drinking and carousing with friends.
More time elapsed without Thelma and Raoul's producing a child, when suddenly Raoul came home with a baby boy, whom he conceived Thelma they should adopt. Thelma accepted the boy and worked hard to become a devoted mother. Within the year, she discovered that Angelo was actually the child Raoul fathered with a paramour. Angry and hurt, Thelma returned to her parents' house, whereupon her mother insisted that she return home to husband and child. Thelma's mother assured her that if she returned, forgave Raoul and embraced her role as mother, as would be well. Thelma proceeded in this vein until Angelo's first birthday, when the baby's natural mother suddenly appeared to reclaim her son. In an emotionally charged scene over which she assumed control, Thelma, knowing that the mother wanted only money, handed over Angelo, whereupon the exploitative woman returned the baby and stormed out. From that moment on, Raoul gained a new respect for Thelma. A few weeks later, unfortunately, Angelo became ill and died of meningitis. Yet again, Thelma and Raoul were left childless. Deciding that they needed a new start, Raoul and Thelma moved out of his parents' house, thinking that they would live out the remainder of their lives in peace. The couple resigned themselves to a permanent emptiness. However, Thelma visited Emma after Alfonso's death and found her in such dire strait. She could not help but to prod Emma and even browbeat her to relinquish Caridad to her, though she admits in the present that she probably acted insensitively. She hopes that in the end, all lives have been affected positively. As she explains to Caridad, I did buy you back, although it was not the right thing to have done. I like to think of it now as a wrong act that has led to many right things in the end.
Having relieved herself of all the secrets without losing Caridad, Thelma is now livelier than she has been in the years. She decides to throw her daughter a farewell party. Of all Caridad's cousins or siblings are invited to Thelma's house. When Ligaya comes, she and Thelma achieve a new peace between them. In these moments of the family's harmony, Caridad realizes that she and Jaime have much to discuss upon her return. She is determined to salvage her marriage and her nuclear family. A few moments after her return, Caridad receives a call that every adult child knows he or she will get one day. Thelma has passed away peacefully in bed while pursuing old and new photographs. Given the recent chain of events which have made Caridad whole again, Thelma's passing is not a sad affair. It is simply another chapter in a longer story that Caridad will share to her daughter one day soon. This story will shape the identities of the generations to come.